Buddha's final journey began in the city of Rajagaha. At 80 years old, his body was frail, but his mind remained sharp as ever. Despite his weakening health, Buddha insisted on traveling north to Kushinagar, a journey of over 200 miles. As Buddha and his loyal disciple Ananda set out, whispers spread among the followers. Why this arduous trek? Why now? Some claim Buddha chose this path knowing it would be his last. Others saw it as a final test of his teachings on impermanence and detachment. Along the way, Buddha stopped at villages and towns, offering teachings and comfort to those he encountered. He spoke of the inevitability of change, the importance of compassion, and the path to liberation. Each step brought him closer to his final resting place, yet he remained focused on guiding others until the very end. The journey was not easy. Buddha's health deteriorated with each passing day. Yet, he pressed on, demonstrating the very resilience and mindfulness he had taught for decades. This final pilgrimage became a living lesson, showing his followers how to face life's greatest challenge, death itself, with grace and wisdom. As Buddha's final journey unfolded, a question arose among his disciples. Did he know his end was near? The evidence suggests he did. In the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, a famous Buddhist text detailing Buddha's final days, Buddha declares to Ananda, 3 months from now, the Tathagata will pass into final nirvana. This startling proclamation came after Buddha deliberately rejected the option to extend his life, choosing instead to relinquish his will to live. But Buddha's foreknowledge went beyond mere prediction. He meticulously planned his final days, choosing specific locations and audiences for his last teachings. He settled old disputes, gave final instructions to his disciples, and even arranged the details of his own funeral. This awareness didn't lead to fear or despair. Instead, Buddha used his impending death as a powerful teaching tool. He demonstrated how to face mortality with equanimity, turning his own passing into a final profound lesson on impermanence. Buddha's foreknowledge raises intriguing questions. Was this a display of superhuman insight? Or was it the calm acceptance of a man who had spent a lifetime preparing for this moment? Whatever the case, Buddha's approach to his own death became one of his most enduring teachings. As Buddha's journey neared its end, he and his disciples arrived at the small village of Pava. Here, a devout metalsmith named Kunda invited Buddha to his home for a meal. Little did Kunda know this simple act of generosity would become one of the most talked about meals in religious history. Kunda prepared a special dish for the revered teacher, Sukaramadava. The exact nature of this food remains a mystery. Some translate it as tender pork, others as mushroom delight. Whatever its content, Buddha accepted the offering with gratitude. After the meal, Buddha fell ill. He experienced severe pain and dysentery. Yet, in a remarkable display of compassion, Buddha's thoughts turned to his host. He instructed Ananda to reassure Kunda, stating that offering a Buddha's last meal was an act of great merit, not something to regret. Despite his worsening condition, Buddha insisted on continuing to Kushinagar. He trudged on, stopping frequently to rest, his resilience a final lesson to his followers. This meal, and Buddha's reaction to it, became a powerful demonstration of his teachings on accepting what life offers without complaint. After his arduous final journey, Buddha arrived at Kushinagar, a small town nestled in the foothills of the Himalayas. This seemingly unremarkable place was destined to become one of Buddhism's most sacred sites. As they entered the town, Buddha directed Ananda to prepare a resting place between 2 sal trees. The choice was deliberate. Buddha had been born under a sal tree, and now he would pass away between them, completing the circle of his earthly existence. Despite his weakening body, Buddha's mind remained clear. He used this moment to impart a final lesson on impermanence. He told Ananda, "All compounded things are subject to decay, strive with diligence. Even in choosing his final resting place, Buddha turned the act into a teaching. The setting sun painted the sky in vibrant hues as Buddha lay down on his right side, his head facing north. The sal trees, as if sensing the momentous occasion, burst into unseasonal bloom, showering pale petals upon the dying sage. Kushinagar, once an obscure town, was about to witness an event that would echo through millennia. The stage was set for Buddha's final teachings, his last breaths, and his passage into parinirvana, the ultimate release from the cycle of rebirth. As Buddha reclined between the sal trees, he seized this final opportunity to impart his most essential teachings. Despite his failing body, his mind remained razor-sharp, his words carrying the weight of a lifetime's wisdom. Kneeling nearby was his devoted disciple, Ananda. For decades, Ananda had walked beside Buddha, witnessing his teachings and spreading the Dharma. But now, as the end neared, Ananda's heart was heavy. How could he accept the loss of his teacher, his guide, his friend? His eyes, filled with unshed tears, betrayed the sorrow he struggled to contain. Buddha, ever attuned to the emotions of those around him, turned his gaze to Ananda. His voice was soft but steady. "You have done much good, Ananda. You have been by my side through it all. Do not let sorrow cloud your mind. The time for your own awakening is near." These words, so simple yet filled with profound compassion, touched Ananda deeply. Even in his final moments, Buddha was teaching, not just to his assembled followers, but to Ananda personally. His master's final lesson was not about attachment, but letting go of even the dearest bonds, for all things are impermanent. Buddha then began by addressing the Sangha, his community of monks. "If you have any doubt or uncertainty concerning the Buddha, the Dhamma, or the Sangha, ask now," he urged. "Do not later regret that you missed this opportunity." His invitation was met with silence, a testament to the clarity of his teachings over the years. Buddha then delivered what became known as the Four Great References. These guidelines would ensure that, even after his death, his teachings would remain pure and unchanged. Buddha wanted to make sure his message of compassion and mindfulness would continue without distortion. He emphasized that after his passing, the monks should always compare any claimed Buddha's words with the suttas and Vinaya, his recorded teachings, and the monastic code. This would be the safeguard against misinterpretation, ensuring the Dharma remained intact for future generations. In a poignant moment, Buddha consoled his grieving attendant, Ananda. He praised Ananda's years of loyal service and encouraged him to strive for his own enlightenment. "You have done much good, Ananda," he said. "Make an effort, and soon you will be free from all impurities." Perhaps most importantly, Buddha stressed the transient nature of existence one last time. He reminded his followers that all compounded things must pass away, urging them to find liberation through diligent practice. These final teachings encapsulated the essence of Buddha's lifelong message: impermanence, non-attachment, and the path to enlightenment. As night fell over Kushinagar, Buddha entered his final hours. Despite his deteriorating physical condition, he remained fully present, his mind as clear as the star-filled sky above. But for Ananda, standing vigil beside him, the reality of his teacher's impending death weighed heavy on his heart. Ananda had long been Buddha's right hand, the disciple who had served him faithfully for years. Yet now, with the end so near, he found himself unable to accept the inevitable. Tears began to well in his eyes, and though he had practiced the teachings of non-attachment for years, this was different. This was the man who had shown him the path to liberation. How could he simply let go? Buddha, sensing the turmoil within Ananda, spoke once more, his voice filled with the same compassionate wisdom that had always guided him. "Ananda, do not mourn me. Everything that arises must pass away. Even this body is subject to decay. What I have taught you is the truth. Cling not even to this." Ananda, though still deeply saddened, felt a wave of peace wash over him. His master's final words were a balm for his grief. It was a reminder that even the most precious bonds must one day be released. And in that moment, Ananda understood that the greatest act of love was to let go. During these precious moments, Buddha displayed extraordinary compassion. When he heard that an ascetic named Subhata wished to speak with him, Buddha overruled Ananda's protective objections. "Let him come," Buddha said, "for he asks for enlightenment." In his last hours, Buddha still sought to guide others toward liberation. Subhata's encounter with the dying Buddha proved transformative. After a brief discourse, Subhata became Buddha's final direct disciple, finding enlightenment mere hours before Buddha's passing. This last conversion underscored Buddha's unwavering commitment to teaching until his final breath. As midnight approached, Buddha addressed his assembled disciples one last time. He encouraged them to continue their spiritual practice diligently, reminding them that all composite things are subject to dissolution. Even in these final moments, he embodied the equanimity he had taught throughout his life. The air grew thick with emotion as Buddha's breaths became shallower. His disciples, realizing these were truly the last moments with their teacher, struggled to come to terms with the impermanence Buddha had so often spoken about. The final hour of the Enlightened One had arrived, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a lasting legacy. As the night deepened, Buddha entered his final meditation. The assembled disciples watched in reverent silence as their teacher demonstrated, one last time, the power of a mind fully awakened. Buddha began to move through the jhanas, the deep meditative states he had mastered decades ago. His breathing slowed. His body became still, yet a subtle radiance seemed to emanate from him. Even in his last moments, Buddha was teaching, showing how to face death with complete awareness and serenity. Suddenly, the earth trembled. A soft light enveloped the sal grove. Buddha opened his eyes, gazed at his disciples with infinite compassion, and uttered his last words. Then, with a final exhalation, he entered parinirvana, the state beyond birth and death. For a moment, time stood still. The gathered monks, despite years of teaching on impermanence, found themselves stunned by the finality of this moment. Anuruddha, one of Buddha's chief disciples, broke the silence. When the master attained final nibbana simultaneously with his parinibbana, Brahma Sahampati recited this stanza: "All must lay aside the aggregate in this world. A master such as this, a supreme person, a conqueror with power of wisdom, the Tathagata, has attained nibbana." As dawn broke, casting its first light on the sal grove, the news began to spread. The Buddha, the Enlightened One, had passed into final nibbana. An era had ended, but the impact of this moment would ripple through centuries to come. In the stillness of that fateful night, Buddha's final words echoed through the sal grove, leaving an indelible mark on his disciples and on the entire Buddhist tradition. HANDA DANI BHIKKHAVE AMANTAYAMI VAYADHAMMA SANKHARA APPAMADENA SAMPADETHA. These Pali words, translated into English, convey a powerful message. Now, O monks, I declare to you, all conditioned things are subject to decay. Strive on with diligence. These weren't merely the parting words of a dying teacher. They were the distillation of Buddha's entire philosophy, a final reminder of the core truths he had spent his life illuminating. The first part, all conditioned things are subject to decay, reaffirms the fundamental Buddhist concept of impermanence. Buddha used his own passing as the ultimate teaching moment, demonstrating that even an enlightened being is subject to the natural law of dissolution. The second part, strive on with diligence, is a call to action. Buddha's final instruction urges his followers not to despair at his passing, but to redouble their efforts on the path to enlightenment. It's a reminder that each individual must work out their own salvation with diligence. These last words embody the essence of Buddha's teachings, a clear-eyed acceptance of reality, coupled with an empowering call to spiritual effort. They continue to inspire millions of Buddhists worldwide, serving as a compass for those navigating the path to enlightenment. As the first rays of sunlight pierced the sal grove, the reality of Buddha's passing began to sink in. The reactions among his disciples were as varied as human emotion itself. Some of the younger, less advanced monks wept openly, their cries piercing the morning air. Too soon has the Blessed One passed away, they lamented, overwhelmed by grief. Others sat in stunned silence, grappling with the profound loss. In stark contrast, the elder monks who had absorbed Buddha's teachings more deeply remained composed. Anuruddha, displaying remarkable equanimity, reminded the gathering, "Enough, friends. Do not sorrow, do not lament. Has not the Blessed One already told us that all things that are pleasant and delightful are changeable, subject to separation and becoming other?" Ananda, Buddha's devoted attendant, found himself caught between these two responses. Though deeply saddened, he took on the responsibility of informing the neighboring Malla clan, in whose territory Kushinagar lay. The news spread rapidly, and soon, preparations for the funeral rites began. The Mallas arrived with flowers, incense, and musical instruments, honoring Buddha with celestial songs, dances, and offerings. For 7 days, they paid homage to Buddha's body, creating a festival-like atmosphere that celebrated his life and teachings rather than mourning his death. This immediate aftermath of Buddha's passing became a living lesson in his teachings. It demonstrated the different stages of understanding impermanence and non-attachment, while also showing how Buddhist practice transforms the experience of loss and grief. Buddha's death marked not an end, but a beginning. His passing into parinirvana set in motion a legacy that would shape the spiritual landscape of the world for millennia to come. In the days following his death, Buddha's closest disciples gathered to preserve his teachings. This led to the first Buddhist council, where Buddha's words were collected and codified, ensuring his wisdom would endure long after his physical form had gone. This act of preservation laid the foundation for Buddhism's spread across Asia and eventually the globe. Buddha's final days became a powerful teaching in themselves. His foreknowledge of death, his final journey, and his serene passing all serve to reinforce his core teachings on impermanence and the importance of mindful living. These events, as much as his words, continue to inspire Buddhist practitioners today. The manner of Buddha's death also had a profound impact on Buddhist philosophy. It underscored the truth that even the most enlightened being is subject to the laws of nature, reinforcing the Buddhist view of the fundamental nature of reality. Perhaps most significantly, Buddha's passing transformed him from a living teacher to a universal symbol of enlightenment. Temples, statues, and stupas containing his relics spread across the world, serving as focal points for devotion and reminders of his teachings. Today, over 2,500 years after his death, Buddha's influence continues to grow. His teachings on mindfulness, compassion, and the nature mind have found new audiences in the West, influencing fields as diverse as psychology, neuroscience, and popular culture. In his death, as in his life, Buddha left us with a profound truth that true immortality lies not in the preservation of the body, but in the enduring impact of wisdom shared and lives transformed.